Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I married my best friend's sister. I met my best friend when I moved to New Jersey. He was my neighbor and we went to the same high school. He had this not-so-little younger sister who always wanted to be around us and do what we were doing. He found it annoying, but I thought it was cute. She had a small stature and always tried to do more than she could handle. She was 2 years younger than my best friend and I. As time went on, I noticed that I had this need to be around her and protect her. I fell for her hard. I fell hard for her, and it was too late to go back. I hid it for a while because I didn't want to destroy my friendship with her brother, but I couldn't help it. One day I decided to give it a shot because I didn't want to hide it any longer. So I told my best friend. He didn't act surprised at all. In fact, he told me that he figured it out a while ago, but wanted me to come clean myself. He told me that he didn't mind me dating his sister, and he couldn't think of anyone better than me. That made me the happiest person on earth. Now, I had to figure out how to woo his sister. I knew it wouldn't be that difficult because we had chemistry, and it was very evident. I asked her on a date, and we hit it off from there. It was by far the best relationship I've been in. We got married when I was 21 because we didn't want to wait any longer. My wife gave birth to a boy in the same year. There were so many complications, so she got a hysterectomy to remove her womb. It was disappointing because we wanted more kids, but it was better for her to be alive than die trying to have another baby. I knew my son was the only one I would ever have, except that we decided to adopt. So I cherished him with all my heart. 10 years later, I got a weird email from someone I don't know asking me to do a DNA test because my child is not mine. It was so funny to me, and I never thought for once that it could be true, so I brushed it off. This person kept sending me emails and seems to know a lot about my family. So I began to get curious, and now I am doubting everything. I didn't tell my wife because I didn't want her to feel somehow or other we had to have a fight about if I trust her or not. I secretly did the test. On the day that I was to get the results, I finally confided in my best friend and told him all that has been going on. He seemed so shocked and even scared. He desperately tried to dissuade me from it, but that just made me want to do the test even more. I get the result and find out that I am not the father of my 10-year-old son. The one who I would give anything for. That hit me differently. I couldn't believe it, especially the fact that it seemed like some people close to me know this and are hiding it. People like my best friend. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do right now, but let's hope I can control myself when I know everything. I confronted my wife about it when I got home. She already knew something was coming for her because when I came in, she was very nervous. She started to plead and say that I am the only love of her life, and what happened was a very costly mistake, and she wanted to tell me sooner, but she saw how much I love our son, and she didn't want to ruin that. I tried to figure out who the actual father is, but she wouldn't budge. Instead, she kept crying and tried to change the subject. It's not like I can forget a detail that important. I'm going to find out who the biological father of my son is, no matter the cost. I go to my best friend and demand answers, but he too wouldn't speak. What are they hiding? The truth is already out. Could it get any worse? It's probably someone I don't know because I know all our friends, and each of them from 10 years ago are married, except her brother, and it can't possibly be him. He tells me to find out from my wife because that is something for her to tell, and he has no right to be the one to do so. I tell him that I am so disappointed in him because I thought we were best friends and he would look out for me, even if the person who betrayed me was his sister. He had this guilty look on his face, like there was way more I didn't know, but he wasn't going to spill the beans. I need to find out what's going on fast. I'm thinking of messaging my anonymous informant. I send the person an email and I hope he or she answers me ASAP. I haven't been home in a week. After my last update, I tried to get the truth out from her, but she is hesitating. She only said it was a drunken night and things happened that she wishes never happened. She still won't tell me who the father is, and at some point, she even says she doesn't know. I know her too well and can tell when she is lying. I think I already know that my son isn't mine, so why is it a big deal whose it is? My anonymous informant hasn't replied my message either. I'm wondering if it was the best decision to get curious and to do the DNA test, because now I'm regretting it. What you don't know won't hurt you, right? I could have kept living in blissful ignorance and we would still be a happy family today. At this time, I have sent about 10 emails, but still no response. The person cannot chicken out now, after making me go through all of this. My best friend has been really quiet. He hasn't tried to apologize or reach out to me since the day I asked him about what he knew. I'm so sure that something is not right. There is a very important part of the puzzle that is missing, and I need to find it. My wife has been calling my phone, but I don't want to speak to her. It's bad enough that she betrayed me. I'm staying at a guest house, so I only go home to take more clothes if I need them. I refuse to acknowledge her when I go to the house, and I won't until she tells me the truth. I got a call from my mother-in-law to come to her house. When I get there, she tells me that she has been my anonymous informant, and that all she wanted to do was spark the suspicions so I could dig and everyone can come clean. She didn't think that her daughter wouldn't tell me the truth. She said that she knows the whole truth, and it has been eating away at her for years. And just recently, when we came visiting, she saw the way I loved my son, and she couldn't keep it from me any longer. She also knew that one day it would come out, and it was better sooner than later. She said that the biological father of my son is my best friend, her son. She told me that her daughter confided in her when she got pregnant, and at the time, we were just about to get married. They both didn't know how to handle it, so she came up with the idea to behave like the baby was mine, since we were getting married. She also mentioned that my best friend knew about this too. This is the ultimate betrayal. I have been living a lie for the past 10 years. I still love my son with all my heart, and even though he didn't come from my loins, it doesn't change anything, because I raised him, and it is not a switch that you could just turn off. I need more answers, so I called my wife and best friend to meet me at their mom's house. I told them that I know everything, so they had better have a good enough explanation for me. What happened was that months before our wedding, we all went out for a party. I left to go home, and they went back to their house. And one thing led to another, and the next morning they realized they had done the unspeakable. They both wanted to forget about that night for the rest of their lives, but couldn't with a baby on the way. So they freaked out and came up with a lame plan with their mom. My wife said that they had wanted to tell me several times before, but it was never the right time until it became too late, and they just let it be and wished that it never came up. The son that I have loved since he was born is not mine, and he belongs to my best friend. Not just any best friend, but my wife's brother. That is the sickest thing ever. How do we say that to my son? Because I believe that he deserves to know. I know how I feel about this being kept from me, so I can't let them do the same to him. I would be a hypocrite if I let that happen. Being in a place where I'm just finding out that he is not my biological son, and having to break the news to my sweet boy at the same time, is very difficult for me. However, he deserves to know no matter how shameful and weird it may be. What happens to my marriage now? That question I have no answer to at the moment. I know it is supposed to be through thick or thin, but how thick is thick? Everyone sucks here except you. Your wife, best friend, and mother-in-law have to be the most heartless people ever. I mean, she went down the aisle knowing she was pregnant with her brother's child. That's incest. And they all knew? Pretty unacceptable. I'm surprised you haven't done some major James Bond on any of them yet. Not the a-hole. Even when you found out, they still wouldn't speak the truth. Those people do not deserve your forgiveness. If you would forgive them, do it for you, your peace of mind, and mental health. Next story. 3 years ago, I met the love of my life, Brad. Last year, we got engaged, but COVID delayed plans. We still wanted our parents to meet, so we had them over for dinner a while ago. I invited my single mom. Brad's mom died young, but he invited the men who raised him, his dad Victor, and dad's first cousin, Corey. Corey and Victor are cousins, but more like brothers, since Corey was raised by his aunt and uncle, Victor's parents. The dinner was eventful. Turns out my mom and Corey used to date in uni, but she hid her pregnancy and ghosted him. So Corey's my dad, which means Brad and I are second cousins, since our dads are first cousins. Yes, it is gross, and we were grossed out too. But we realized that we love each other and never had this kind of connection with anyone else, so we decided to stay together, but test for diseases before having children or not have any at all. We've talked so much about this and believe this is the best conclusion for our own well-being, given the circumstances. Anyway, that's not the point. Up till now, we thought Victor and Corey were best friends, brother-like. After all, they are cousins raised as brothers and ended up raising a child of their own, Brad. Except we were so wrong when they came to us begging not to get married. We first thought it was because they were grossed out by us, by being related. But it's the complete opposite. They've been in a secret relationship all this time and don't want us to get married, since it'll be too weird if their kids are married to each other when they want to be together. Yep, you read that right. First cousins raised together, thought of as brothers, in a relationship. To me, this is 100 times worse than our situation, since we didn't know. They told us they fell in love as teenagers and tried to ignore it for so long, but seeing us has caused them to realize they want to be together openly. Brad is distraught, and I'm just disgusted. Call me a hypocrite, but I'm not fine with it. If Brad and I knew when we first met, we wouldn't be together. The only reason why we are together is because we don't think of each other as second cousins. But they knew. They were even raised as brothers, yet they continued. It's so much worse, and we don't want to stop our marriage because they want to be together openly. I decided to disinvite them, but Brad is having second thoughts, since he considers them his parents and only family. Am I the a-hole for being firm and disinviting them? I am not asking for your judgment on whether or not I should marry Brad. If you can't see the difference between first cousins raised as brothers who actively chose to make their relationship romantic versus second cousins dating for 3 years who only recently found out they were related, then you're being purposefully dense. But fine, that's just your opinion, which you are entitled to. It's still not what I'm asking for, though. I do not live in America, so stop equating my situation to places in America as a joke or bringing up American laws that invalidate my relationship. Yes, haha, Alabama, I get it. For those asking, Corey was adopted by Victor's mom sometime in his early childhood years. He considers Victor's mom to be his mom as well. Brad's mom passed when he was 1, at which time Corey moved into Victor's house, and they raised Brad together. Brad never considered Corey a father since it was very clear he was Uncle Corey. Everyone sucks here. Look, you want a little incest, they want medium incest. As long as there's no lots of incest with offspring, shit does happen. Tell them you hope your relationship with your fiancé lasts as long as theirs. And just for extra fun, I'm going to use a quote from Tolstoy I never thought I'd have cause to say. Cousins, trouble in dozens. Second cousins are far enough down the chain. It's fairly acceptable where I am. First cousin seems to be more questionable if they plan to have biological children together, which isn't an issue here. I wouldn't worry too much about it, and probably best not to go around advertising it either. I have an aunt and uncle who are first cousins that adopted a child together. It was never really thought of as being odd. Yes, I don't really know the rules about marrying first cousins where I live, but I think it's okay, given my country's history with royals marrying each other. Though I think Victor and Corey are legally brothers due to adoption. I'm not sure. Next story. So, this is a messed up situation, and outlandish. When I, 38M, was 23, I had a relationship with my friend's 40M wife, 39F. Not proud of that. I sucked. She got pregnant with twins, and I believe those kids are mine, since my friend had fertility issues. So once the babies were born, I sued her for a paternity test. I had to show evidence on our affair to prove why this request wasn't out of the question, and there was a high possibility I could be the father. The court accepted, and they were 100% my children. But the judge granted me no rights or responsibilities over my kids. I attempted to pay child support, but they refused, because they were conceived in a marital union and my friend was willing to acknowledge them. So I had no business being in their lives, and any relationship would be up to their parents' discretion, according to the judge for the kids' well-being. I remember going to their house to beg them to let me see the twins, but they only let me once. I loved them from that moment and wanted to be in their lives, but they just refused and threatened to file charges against me. So I moved on. This was really traumatic to me. I loved those boys and wanted to be there for them. I remember crying because I couldn't be a part of their lives, and I even wrote a journal called Another Day Without My Boys. But things got better. I moved to another city, I met my wife, and now we have a wonderful son, 8. Last month, my ex-friend contacted me because he wanted to know where I live since my sons want to know me. Apparently, my sons, 15, started asking. They had doubts because they looked nothing like their father or any relative, and after insisting so much, their parents ended up confessing what happened, or at least half of it. I declined because getting over it was maybe the hardest thing I ever had to do, and I don't think I can do it again. So I sent them the journal I wrote about them and a letter stating that if once they turn 18 and they still want to meet me, I'll be here for them with my open arms. But now I can't. After I sent the journals, my boys kept texting me every time, requesting to meet, and it's hard not to be able to. So I called their parents and demanded that the kids stop texting me, and they, my ex-friend and his wife, should never call me again, unless my kids need an organ transplant. They called me a jerk for such childish attitude and for demanding a painful thing from my kids. So, am I wrong? Just need an unbiased point of view, since almost everyone calls me the a-hole. Everyone sucks here, except these 15-year-old boys. Do you not feel that you should maybe make an attempt for these kids? They didn't choose not to allow you into their life. I kind of feel like you're penalizing husband's perspective. It's clear why he didn't want you as an influence. But taking out his anger on only you instead of his lying, cheating wife is a bit ridiculous. But you, if you weren't ready to contact them, giving them a journal about how badly you do want to see them is insanely, undeniably cruel. That is where you undeniably suck. What is wrong with you? If you didn't want to talk to them, why did you send them a book about how much you want to talk to them? Was it to laugh at them? To make their parents feel bad? The kids had no control or say over this. Why are you tormenting them like that? What was your thought process here exactly?